Good evening. Welcome to Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. We're going to talk about a little bit about today about the situation. We're going to begin by kind of giving a review on some of the remarks that were made by President Trump regarding the announcement of the vice presidential candidate by former Vice President Joe Biden. President Trump, in his first on-camera remarks about the new Biden-Harris ticket, said he was a little surprised, I was too, that Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris to be his running mate, given her very poor primary performance. She only was at like 1% or 2%. But she was his number one pick to face off against. During a White House press conference briefing Tuesday afternoon, shortly after Biden announced Harris as his vice president nominee, Trump lashed out against the Democratic senator. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with Kamala Harris. One thing, she's farther left than even Bernie was. Because when they look at what she's done and what her history is, you can see that there's some things that are kind of even further left than Bernie is. The president was referring to her failed 2020 presidential run, claimed he was most surprised by the pick because she did very poorly in the primaries, as I said earlier. And she ended up right about 2% and drew attention to her campaign attack by attacking Joe Biden. And that was it. It's like a flame flickering out and it embered and turned out. He said also that she was very disrespectful to Joe Biden. It's hard to pick someone that was that disrespectful, Trump said, referring to a debate moment in Harris' blitz against Biden in last summer's primary debate. On the debate stage in Miami, Harris criticized comments by former Vice President Joe Biden, spotlighting his ability to find common ground during the 1970s segregationist senators with whom he disagreed with or agreed with over his opposition decades ago to federally mandated school busing. Excuse me. She asked, "Do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose a busing in America?" Harris, who is black, asked Biden during the debate. There was a little girl in California, she said, who was a part of the second class in the integrated her public schools. And she was bused to school every day, she said, and the little girl, she said, was me. Ooh, poor baby. Yes, I know, we all have gone through things, Ms. Harris, in our histories. I've experienced discrimination just like everyone else has. Except I didn't allow it to cause me to have a bitterness in me. When I first saw Kamala Harris, when she was in that debate, I could see the bitterness in her. I'm like, man, this lady she's hateful. She has a hateful demeanor about her. Now, I don't know, maybe that was what she learned in the law profession, but pretty much it was pretty hateful. Well, let's move on. We're going to be talking today a little bit about Trump's announcement of the historic peace agreement between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. President Trump, of course, was one of those who helped broker this agreement. President Trump announced peace deal between Israel and United Arab Emirates on Thursday, I believe.
After 49 years, Israel and the United Arab Emirates will fully normalize their diplomatic relations. Not since the Israel-Jordan peace treaty was signed more than 25 years ago has so much progress been made towards peace in the Middle East.
Whether you like or dislike President Trump, this is a massive foreign policy win.
This is the first peace treaty, diplomatic relations between Israel and an Arab nation in decades.
Diplomatic breakthrough has happened.
Basically, what we have seen here is the president create something out of nothing.
This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
This is, by all accounts, a historical agreement.
No other way to put this. Normalizing diplomatic ties between Israel and the United Arab Emirates is a massive win for the Trump administration.
President Trump, he says a huge breakthrough today. Historic peace agreement between our two great friends, Israel and the United Arab Emirates, Trump tweeted Thursday morning. The president, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, released a joint statement Thursday after the three spoke and agreed to the full normalization of relations between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. The statement said that the diplomatic breakthrough was the request of President Trump, and that Israel will suspend declaring sovereignty over areas outlined in the president's vision for peace and focus its efforts now on expanding ties with other countries in the Arab and Muslim world. The Israel and Arab Emirates also said that they will continue their effort to achieve just, comprehensive, and enduring resolution to Israeli and Palestinian conflict. This historic diplomatic breakthrough will advance peace in the Middle East region and a testament to the bold diplomacy and vision of three leaders and the courage of the United Arab Emirates and Israel to chart a new path that will unlock the great potential in the region. The statement read, all three countries face many common challenges and will mutually benefit from today's history or historic achievement. Well, with that, we're going to take a short break here on the Black Conservative Voice. I am your host, David Colbert. We'll be right back with you in a moment.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a job. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever. Because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice on the CTMN News Network, the Voice of Truth. Delegations from Israel and the United Arab Emirates are expected to meet in the coming weeks to sign bilateral agreements regarding investment, tourism, direct flight security, telecommunications, technology, energy, healthcare, culture, the environment, the establishment of reciprocal embassies in other areas and mutual benefits. Opening direct ties between two of the Middle East's most dynamic societies and advanced economies will transform the region by spurring economic growth, enhancing the technological innovation, and forging closer people-to-people relations, the statement also read. Trump on Thursday said he had a call with Israel and United Arab Emirates. The president told reporters Israel and the UAE will begin cooperation across the board along with exchanging embassies, which will be great, and ambassadors. The president said he expected other countries to follow UAE's lead on the effort to cooperate with Israel going forward. The president said the action would be known as the Abraham Accord and named for the father of all three great faiths. No person better symbolizes the potential for unity of these three great faiths, U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman said from the Oval Office Thursday. The president went on to joke that he wanted it to be called the Donald Trump Accord, the Donald J. Trump Accord, which received many laughs in the room. I didn't do that, Trump added, again touting the historic importance of the agreement. We are already discussing this with other nations, Trump said, so you will probably see others of these. Great thing, Mr. President. We appreciate your efforts to bring peace to the Middle East. Once again, the president, like with all things, urged us to take an untraditional approach. Kushner said Thursday, you can solve problems that have gone unsolved the way people have done before, and done before you and failed. Kushner said President tries to unite people focusing on common interests as opposed to common grievances. You know, many things. I used to be a salesman many years ago, and in sales they tell you the people do not buy products; they buy people. Now you have products and stuff you sell maybe over online and things like that. But when you're doing a person-to-person sale, they're not interested. They're interested in the product that they need, but they will buy the product from the person that they like. Simple as that. That's the way it goes. If they don't like you, they're not going to buy it from you. If they didn't like President Trump, they would not have entered into this deal. Kushner goes on to quote, "We were able to achieve results others could not achieve," Kushner said. "This will advance the region and advance the world." Meanwhile, Israeli ambassador to the United States, Ron Dermer, tweeted shortly after the agreement was announced saying, "A great day for peace. Israel commends the courage of the MBZ for the historic decision of the UAE to join Egypt in 1979 and Jordan in 1994 and making peace with Israel. Deeply appreciates the President Donald J. Trump has done to make this breakthrough possible. More to come." Secretary Pompeo touted vigorously diplomatic outreach by President of Israel and the UAE. The United States congratulates Israel and the Emirates for the remarkable achievement, which is a significant step forward for peace in the Middle East. "Blessed are the peacemakers, Mabruk and Masal Tov," Pompeo tweeted. Okay, moving on. We're going to discuss today a little bit more about this situation in dealing with the reopening of schools, public and private. But before that, we're going to take a short break. And I also want to tell you, if you're interested in advertising your small business or large business, we have quite a viewership. Right now, I mean, it's a new beginning. We're a new program. We have anywhere from each program, anywhere from 10 to 50,000 people that are watching this program. And a lot of my viewers right now are in the state of Texas. So if you're in Texas and you have a business, come on, check with us. Email us. Our rates are very cheap. We'll send the rates to you through your email, and you will find that this is a very, very economical way to advertise. Once again, my name is David Colbert, and you're watching The Black Conservative Voice. So we're going to take a break for a moment. Be right back at you in a minute.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a job. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever. Because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching The Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Trump touts administration guidelines for reopening schools. The president said the CDC could employ teams to assist schools in their reopening. This is according to Fox News. Today, I am pleased to announce, the president said, that we will provide up to $125 million $125 million reusable masks to various schools, districts around the country, Trump said during a Wednesday news conference. My administration also stands ready to deploy CDC teams to support schools that are opening and schools that need help and safety in order to safely open. The recommendation calls, and I appreciate this, the recommendation calls on all students, teachers, and staff to self-assess their health each morning and encourage frequent hand washing or sanitizing throughout the day. They call for high standards of ventilation and hygiene in the classroom and minimal indoor group gatherings. The guidelines also call on teachers, staff, and students to socially distance around high-risk individuals and encourage the use of masks where social distancing is not possible. The president again emphasized that 99.95% of all fatalities are adults. Children often only have mild symptoms, he said. That for children underlying conditions, the flu resulted in more deaths than COVID-19 by far. And once again, for you Democratic Party members and Ms. Kamala Harris, President Trump is paying attention to the science. So why do not you? Why don't you pay attention to the science? Still, he said the families should be empowered to make the decision for themselves about whether or not to return their children to school. And in this vein, Trump said that school funding should go directly to the students rather than school districts. We wanted to follow the child. If the school is closed, they can go to another school or area. He hit House Speaker Rep. Nancy Pelosi and Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer as being controlled by teachers' unions. Democrats don't like doing anything unless it means doing it for the union, which controls Nancy and Chuck. Trump made sure to praise teachers. There's nothing wrong with the union. Very few, this is President Trump, very few people do I respect more than a great teacher. They are so underappreciated, Trump continued. The great ones among the most important people, but they will be great at a charter school as well. Minority communities, particularly African Americans, want it so badly, Trump said, referring to reopening schools for in-person instruction. In an event on Wednesday, President Trump sought to reopen negotiations with the House on school funding, outlining a model that would have money follow the student, where students could switch school systems if their current one wanted to remain closed while they wanted to get back to campus. Then he goes on to say, I would like the money to follow the students, and in this way you can make your own choice. The president said at the event, if a school is closed, why are we paying the school? And that's correct. Why should we pay the school if the students out there? Let the money follow the student. We know for students and their families, they can't be held captive to the people's fears and politics. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos added. That's the Education Secretary. Well, we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a job. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever, because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Now I found an interesting piece of news in the One America News newsroom. This is from their newsroom. China pleads with U.S. to relent on trade measures. This is really interesting. China has asked the United States to fall back on trade relationship between the two nations. The request came ahead of the upcoming trade talks this weekend, which will focus on reevaluating the Phase 1 trade deal made between the two countries months ago. In a statement, Beijing officials commented on the new trade laws implemented in Hong Kong, which aim to establish more open trade between Hong Kong, Beijing, and foreign nations. They also asked the United States to stop what they were described as discriminatory practices. I'll say this to you, China. Stop what? You were okay with the WHO when they discriminated against us, and the European Union, you didn't have no problem with that. They favored your nation over us. You gave $32 million to the World Health Organization, and we gave them $500 million. Yet we were being mistreated by the leadership there. They were leaning more towards you. So now we do no longer support the World Health Organization. I really appreciate our president because he takes action when action is needed. Moving on. The coronavirus pandemic and the restrictive measures the U.S. imposed on Chinese exports undoubtedly affected the purchase of certain goods and services, State Assistant Minister of Commerce Ren Hongbin said. We hope the U.S. stops the restrictive measures on the discriminatory action towards Chinese companies and create conditions to implement the Phase 1 trade deal. Why should we stop? We're not discriminating against you. We're just honoring our farmers and our businesses here in America. This is not a discrimination against China. China has always, for many years, restricted companies from the U.S. wanting to come into their nation and open up businesses. And even when they did, some of them, they took control of them and put the people out that came to establish that business. So you can say whatever you please. We're going to take care of the American people first. Then we'll talk about trade restrictions. But if you keep pushing it, more than likely you'll probably get more restrictions. You're not the only nation in the world that we can deal with. There are other nations out there. During the talks, Beijing officials are expected to bring up a variety of issues from agricultural goods to the recent measures against Chinese social media apps in the U.S. You know, there's a lot of things going on. But I'm telling you this one thing. This is something that we really need to look at. And I know that the American Center for Law and Justice is dealing with this in a lawsuit in California. But the lawsuits are cropping up all over the place. But I'm not going to go into the story yet. We got a few more minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and take a short break. And as I take this break, when you see this break, a lot of times these breaks might be a little fast. But remember, you could be in this break. When the break comes up, your company or your business can be advertised during this break. So we're going to go ahead and take a break here at the Black Conservative Voice, and we'll be right back with you in a moment.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a job. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever. Because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. This is the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Police break up New Jersey rabbi's funeral, charge 15 men in another case of religion clashing with public health. This is what they're saying. The police in Lakewood, New Jersey broke up a funeral at a synagogue Wednesday, charging 15 men with violating Governor Phil Murphy's executive order. What about the Constitution? You're violating our constitutional rights. They were not doing anything wrong. They were burying a loved one. To make the thing even worse, let's move on with this. What makes it even worse is the thing that happened, even in the interim leading up to this gentleman's demise. The Orthodox Jewish funeral was for Rabbi Chaim Moish Strolovitz, who had been tested for novel coronavirus after coming into contact with a person who had the virus. The Philadelphia Inquirer reported. The rabbi's grandson told the newspaper the results came back negative the day before his death. And do you know that they still put COVID-19 on that man's death certificate? I can guarantee you. He said his grandfather was 72 years old. The funeral was one of several gatherings Lakewood police have, this is a Democratic territory, Lakewood police have broken up in recent weeks, shutting down at least 4 weddings and another party. Police arrived about 6:30 p.m. They protect our public safety. They have no reason, unless invited, to come into a public meeting. This is the law and this is the rules. This is what I'm saying. Unless there's, and I've seen this before, you've heard it before, unless there's a crime being committed that is going to injure, kill, or damage somebody, they have no right to enter into people's private events. People have the right in their own homes, in their own paid-for venues, to do what they please. Whoever's in this venue have the right to make choices for themselves. People of America, vote Republican in November. Put the president back in office. Put control of the Republican Party over the Senate and the House of Representatives, or eventually you're going to lose your constitutional freedoms. They're right here to challenge the freedom of religion. And I'm going to be closing pretty soon, but I just want you to know, Vice President Joe Biden and this Kamala Harris, if you elect them to office, you might as well say, hey, we're in a communist country now, because that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to start overtaxing us. They're going to start closing down oil companies and oil businesses all over this country. Texas, I know you hear me talking. If that man, or even the Democrats get control over the Senate, they can pass bills to shut our oil business down too. So we need to get out in the polls in November and vote for President Donald J. Trump. And we also need to vote Republican so that we can put, and I'm talking to Democrats too, you need to vote. I know there are liberal Democrats that are watching my program. You need to vote Republican in November. You might love the Democrats, but they're trying to turn this country into a communist country. They're trying to take away freedom from Muslims, Jews, Christians, and every other religious services in this country. Look out. If we don't get them out of office, then we're going to have some big problems come this next coming year. So I want to thank you for joining me here on the Black Conservative Voice. My name is David Colbert. We're here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. I research my news items to try my very best to make sure that they are the truth. And if not, I will deal with my people. We'll talk about it. But the thing is that we're here to bring you true news, not false stuff. And I'm a person that speaks my mind. And so I'm going to speak my mind. So I thank you for joining me here once again on the Black Conservative Voice. Until the next time, I'll see you Monday night here at the CTM News Network, the Black Conservative Voice, the voice of truth. And before I leave, I'm going to do as I always do. I want to say, God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert saying good night.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a job. Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever. Because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.